Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Steamworks Spirit Station at Steamworks Creative here in Gibsonia, PA. And it is a musical night. It is a spiritual night. This is Fat Tuesday, isn't it?
It is.
I don't know what that means. I don't want to know what that means. But we're glad to have you with us here. I just wanted to thank everybody. I hope you had a great weekend. It's kind of nice to have two holidays to bookend the weekend. I hope you had a good time. But here we are once again with the magnificent music of Pittsburgh. And this is Robert and Emma from the Little Wretches. So let's welcome them and listen to the music they've got for us tonight.
Out in eternity, goodness unharnessed surely had nurtured a bountiful harvest. Justice and mercy more than I had earned showered down on me upon my return. Angels were smiling, wine was a-flowing, beggars and bandits like new or a-glowing. Hearts were rejoicing, resounding and growing. Business as usual, heaven was open. Heaven was open. Back on the planet, the people were grieving and looking for answers to why you were leaving. Asking for answers, the faithful were groping, praying, forgetting, regretting, and hoping. At home, they're ironing and baking and wailing. Conscience-struck grandchildren curse their own failings. Next of kin scour phone books for attorneys and shuffle through shoeboxes, bank books, and holdings. Each of us has his own method of coping. Business as usual, heaven was open. Heaven was open. You wished you could say something. Hey, it's all right, don't worry. It's just like they said in the light. Our doubts and our fears will be answered in time. Trust what they taught you. Believe me, I'm fine. I was better than no one and worse than a few. I can't say I was any more ready than you. There was no special trick, there was no magic word. Heaven was open today. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Emma, are you a nervous wreck?
Yes. I'm not
You guys
good at
ever
highways.
enjoy going on long drives? Sometimes when you go out on a long drive, you get to these places where there's one station left on the radio, and it's some kind of preacher. And I heard, out in the middle of West Virginia, I heard a preacher say, "You shouldn't worry, because you should just put your trust in God. And if you catch yourself worrying, what you should do is you should sing. Because it has been scientifically proven that someone cannot both sing and worry at the same time."
Amen.
So, this is all of my friends. All of my friends turned into fanatics with terrible secrets hidden up in their attics. Closets full of skeletons and old bones they only bring out to play with when nobody's home. All of my friends are on somebody's list of undesirables and anarchists. It's not even safe to admit that you're one of my friends. All of my friends know cause and effect. We're notably known for abuse and neglect. We're natural targets, we're perfect to blame. None of my friends ever runs out of shame. All of my friends are taking some kind of rap, but your biggest weapon is your handicap. Nothing much good ever happens to none of my friends. Carving a niche with the dust and the ether, walking in circles, limping along. We're stuck in a ditch, but I'm a believer. I don't know much except right from wrong. Oh, what comedy! Oh, what torture! Oh, what stories we will tell. Someday, someday. Someday, someday. None of my friends ever has to lose face. We're walking in beauty, we're walking in grace. We're marching like sheep to the slaughterhouse blade, the prize-winning herd at the Macy's parade. None of my friends ever made the first team. You're going to hell, why not go to extremes? Gently down the stream go none of my friends. A vanguard of vultures in rarefied air, with a high priest of culture. We kneel down for a prayer for the lesbian couples and their turkey basters, and the amateur connoisseur cyanide tasters. All of my friends, wind scattered and blown, never get too close to the foot of the throne, but they're the best people I've ever known. We're carving a niche between the dust and the ether, walking in circles, limping along. We're stuck in a ditch, but I'm a believer. I don't know much except right from wrong. Oh, what comedy! Oh, what torture! Oh, what stories we will tell. Someday, someday. Someday, someday. We're gonna see them again. Someday, someday. We're gonna see them again. Someday, someday.
Someday, someday.
Someday, someday. She lets me win sometimes. So Emma, I was gonna do dark times in the key of A.
Okay,
So I guess that means I'm singing.
that's up to
Can you
you.
handle that?
I can handle that.
Okay.
I can do either.
You guys ever like time travel? Nobody in here's ever time traveled? Well, I met somebody who believed that they had. They had gone to one of those psychic people that like advertise in the back of newspapers, and she went to have a dream interpreted, and he talked her into trying to regress her into her past lives, and it backfired. She sprung into the future, And I was skeptical because that's my nature. And I said, well, if you were in the future, what did you see? And she said, well, I can't really describe it except for the people are really nice and they look back on us like we're living in the Dark Ages. So that's good news, don't you agree? Although in the future they'll say these were dark times. Although in the future they'll say we were violent. Although in the future they'll say these were dark times. The leaders were deaf and their poets were silent. Although in the future they'll say these were dark times. When people with vision simply close their eyes. Although in the future they'll say these were dark times. The poets were silent unless they told lies. I'm talking to you, always flirting with danger. Talking to you, elated by fear. Talking to you, always flirting with danger. You won't flirt with me, you're afraid to come near. I'm looking at you, a new wave of voyeurs. A massive glaucoma and lazy eye. Talking to you, always flirting with danger. I'm wasting my breath, sometimes I don't know why. I'm talking to you, but my words fall on deaf ears. Maybe it's my words that are deafening. Talking to you, cause I have to do something. And this, for the moment, is all I can do. These were dark times. These were dark times. These were dark times. Although in the future they'll say these were dark times. We'll be torn between pity and flat disbelief. We'll wonder how we could allow this to happen. The poets were silent and the truth was asleep. How about running?
Okay.
All right. So this is like at the end of the Lent season, which begins tomorrow, you got this Passover season, and I was thinking, because every year around Easter time they play the Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston on TV. And I was like imagining, like if you were just your typical Israelite, lived in slavery all your life, and they say, hey, we're getting out of here. And you probably thought to yourself, yeah, sure. And then everybody starts leaving. And it's like, oh, well, they're going. I guess I'm going too. And I wonder how many of them really thought they were going to make it.
I can't even imagine.
Well, so that's what this is a song called Running. It might not, if I wouldn't have told you that, you might not have made the connection. But
waters parted, it was drawn or be delivered. It was almost a reflex to stand my ground. Something told my heart I best not wait around. All I really needed was some time to heal, but there was no time. I wasn't made of steel. Had me down so long I would have cut a deal and sold my soul away. Seems like running was the only thing to do, only thing to do, so I ran. Running was the only thing to do, only thing to do, so I ran. Well, maybe something clicked, or maybe something snapped after the first step. There was no turning back. I used to lie awake sometimes for half the night. I've had enough turmoil to last me all my life. All I really needed was some breathing room until my hiding place slowly became my tomb. Had me down so long I started to assume that I would never see the light of day. Seems like running was the only thing to do, only thing to do, so I ran. Running was the only thing to do, only thing to do, so I ran. Well, you should know where you come from. You should honor your past. Godspeed, carry you forward and carry you fast, fast. Oh, running was the only thing to do, only thing to do, so I ran. Running was the only thing to do, only thing to do, so I ran, ran, ran.
Do it right.
We do it different every time. I like to keep him on his toes.
You know, you're really getting somewhere when you can kind of like read each other's minds a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
So, last one of this set, like I reside. I'm not a caregiver. My father-in-law is 93 years old, can take care of himself. However, you know, the biggest drag about being 93 years old is that you don't have any peer group anymore, you know. And I hate to say it, I know maybe some of you guys are going through the same thing, but they drop like flies.
Yeah.
Glad I'm still here, but I miss them. So this is a song called It's All Between Me and God, and it starts off, all my friends are gone.
Oh my God.
Oh, I'm sorry. Everyone who knew me, they're all gone now. My friends are gone now, everyone. Those lifelong, heart-to-heart friends that you die for, they've gone to where you cannot come back from. It's all between me and God now. Well, how do you like that deal? Just like I thought, standing in the rain, talking to myself. Love me, kill me, let me know you're real. Well, I didn't make this chalked up world, and whatever damage I might have done, it sure ain't worth pressing charges. That is, if justice is what you want. But if you're looking for mercy or forgiveness, ain't that the big cog in your machine? If there was one thing I could change about myself, I wish I had a lower threshold of pain. 'Cause you know I could always stand up to a beating. They could back me down sometimes, but I won't quit. But they don't give out no medals of valor for being stupid enough to put up with this. Remember when I played the number she saw on the boat pulling out of the dock? The bookmaker hid for a week before he finally paid up. I took her to see his Roebuck, bought a brand new Magnavox. It was just what she always wanted. But where we gonna get the money? I pulled the cash out of my pocket, you should have seen her. It's all between me and God now. No one said it was fair. You can weigh me out, you can starve me out, you can shut me up. Love me, kill me, let me know you're there. Love me, kill me, let me know you're there. Love me, kill me, let me know you're there.
This is Emma and Robert, everyone. Isn't it wonderful? Wow. Thank you so much. My name's Greg. I'm a pastor of the United Methodist Church. I have been a part of the Methodist Church since I was born, as my father was a preacher. My mother was the wife of a preacher, so that's all I've known. It's very important, I think, to share a little bit about what's going on in the world around us. What I see is tremendous upset. What I see is people angry and very irritated and irritable. They're really sitting on the edge of their seats for an awful lot of what's going on in life today. And what I've been trying to do over the last several weeks is I was giving you the stories of Jesus, the stories that he actually told, what the scholars believe were his actual words. And I'm going off of that now into more of his instruction. And the reason for that is United Methodism, our theology comes from John Wesley. And that was way back in the 1700s. But what he did is he said, we have nothing to do but save souls as pastors. That's our job. That's what we are about. And when he talked about the faith, he talked about faith as a lifestyle. It was defined by how you lived it out, how you practiced it, how you did everything. It wasn't just like going to church on Sunday morning. It was about being where you were. You see, actually, if you don't know anything about John Wesley, one of the cool things about him was he was kicked out of the church very early on. In the Church of England is where he was raised, and that's where he went to seminary. But what happened was he was very concerned about helping people to live it out, and he created what were called Methodist societies. And the higher-ups in the church didn't like that, and so they kicked him out. They kicked him out of the church altogether. And what he did is he said, I've got a call of God. I've got to do this no matter what. So what he did is he went out to the coal fields in England and preached to the coal miners coming and going as they were doing their shifts and as they were going to work in the mines. And that's where the movement of Methodism began. And again, he continued with that idea of reaching out to folks in a lifestyle of faithfulness. Not just biblical holiness, but lived out holiness. And that's what made me respond to that really quickly. As I started to get into my adulthood and choosing what my path was going to be, that's what it's about. Spirit Station here at Steamworks is about that. We hear this remarkable music from a variety of musicians. Every week we have someone different. And many of them have written their own songs, and they have these remarkable talents, and they're all different from each other. And that's not what you get in church. I'm sorry, there's nothing wrong with what happens in church, but you get the same musicians every single week. But here, we get someone different every week, which I think is kind of cool. But my heart is for those that haven't heard, those who may not have been raised in the church, people who maybe not even be curious about it, and to try to improve the quality of our lives. To try to help us to live our lives with intention rather than reaction. By thought and consideration, not just by emotion or passion. Because our emotions go up and down, our situations go up and down, and if we're living a reactive kind of life, then we are not really in control of our lives, are we? We're victims of whatever's going on. It manipulates us and controls us and directs us, and that's not, I think, where we want to be. It'd be much better if we could find a way to live effectively through it all. That doesn't mean that you don't enjoy the good parts. It doesn't mean that you don't experience the bad parts. But it means you have a way of living through it that is very effective and helps you to be confident and helps you to enjoy and find meaning in your life. So I wanted to start with a question. Do you know the difference between a Christian and a non-Christian? Now, some churches would have different opinions about that very question. Some think that the goal is to get someone to accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, and that's it. Once you've made that statement, then you're in. There are others that talk about following a certain set of procedures or earning your way into the church and becoming a member and things like that. That's not where I come from. It's more for me about learning how to live effectively and incorporating these things into your day-to-day living without thinking about a set of rules, without thinking about a set of goals, but rather to say, I have a relationship with God that helps me choose where I'm going to go and how I'm going to go and how I'm going to get there and how I'm going to respond to things, that I get to choose that. It's an intentional way of being rather than a reactive way of being. And I think that this is part of what Jesus did too. In the very beginning of his ministry, after he went through a baptism, if you will, from John the Baptist, who was very, very popular, and people were flocking to see him. And he was a relative of Jesus. Jesus went and said, you need to do this. And John says, oh, no, you should be doing this to me. He says, no, this is to fulfill the scriptures. So we're going to do that. And so he was baptized, and that's what we classically say was the beginning of his ministry. And in the beginning, his early conversations, his early teachings were about how we live, about how we conduct ourselves, the choices that we make. And so there, again, the idea is not so much about the worship situation, and it's not really so much about the legal situation, the rules. That's not really where it's at, I don't think. It's about our relationship. A relationship that we have with our spouse, with our children, with our parents, with our friends and neighbors, with people that we don't even know in the community. It's about how we live our relationships out, is the beginning of the ministry that he taught. And so this is what I want to share with you. He's preaching originally, I think, mostly to Jewish people. He was a Jew himself, and he was in Israel, so you got to figure that these crowds that came out to him probably consisted to a majority of being Jewish people. And in the Gospel of Matthew, we find that that particular gospel is related specifically to the Jewish culture and the Christian message for the Jewish culture. That's the way the scholars tell us the Gospel of Matthew is oriented. And so if you presume that they knew the rules, if you presume that they knew what they were supposed to do and how they were supposed to do it, then it's out of that context that we get these teachings. And so the first one that I want to share with you comes from the Gospel of Matthew in chapter 5, verses 43 through 48. Now, I'm going to read it to you, but what I've done with it is messed it up just a little bit. So you might enjoy it. I hope you do. I think it'll help make it somewhat clear. But the thing that I see today in our world is that people are very much against one another. I see on the social media, I see persons that may have one side or the other, and when they try to express themselves, they really don't think too much about the other person who's going to be reading it or hearing it. They don't realize the impact of their words or the antagonism or the negativity. They're trying to defend their particular position, but when they do that, they don't think or consider enough about how a person hears it and how they respond to it. And this is something that I try to do and try to teach people to do. Consider more than just what you feel or what you think. Think about how it's going to impact the person that you're talking to. Think about how they're going to relate to it. See if it's going to make any sense to them or not. And that will make a huge difference, because you want to have more than one conversation with the people. You want to have a relationship, if you can, that lasts through the difficult times. So this is the basis of the idea of living with love, as Jesus taught to do. So the scripture says this: "You've heard it said, love your friends and hate your enemies. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those against you. So doing, you'll be acting like children of God in heaven, because God makes the sun to rise and shine on both the evil and the good, and sends the rain on both the righteous and the unrighteous. If you only love those who love you, who doesn't do that? And if you greet only your brothers and sisters, doesn't everybody do that too? No. I'm asking you to be perfect, just as your heavenly Father is perfect. And that means to love everyone." Now, you can go into a lot of talk about or clarification or specification about the idea of loving people. But the idea of love genuinely is to say, I am thinking of you, and I'm thinking for and to you, not only myself. And so when I choose my words, I'm being very intentional about it. When I'm acting, I know what responses are going to be and how people are going to react to that. And I want to try to be getting us together rather than apart. I think arguments tend to divide. Criticism tends to divide. Defending your particular position tends to divide. God's calling us to love one another. And that partly has to mean that we respect each other. And that we would rather be together than apart. That we'd rather get along in spite of our differences or through our differences, because we can learn where other persons are if they are open to sharing where they are. And they won't do that with an enemy. They will do it with someone who cares for them, someone that they can respect, someone they know is going to listen to them. And they might be inclined to listen to you too if you show them that you have that respect for them. This is what this scripture is about. Loving your enemies as well as loving your friends creates an environment of people getting along and listening to each other, respecting each other, and enjoying life together, and living that life together. Have you been in a work environment where people didn't like each other? Have you seen how miserable that makes everybody else around them? Do you know how difficult it makes the work environment and how people resent the place that they work? Most people, when they get into a place of work, find a means of meaning and enjoyment in that work. Because they could choose anything. So when they make a choice and contribute to it, they want it to be meaningful for them. And they use the talents that they've been given and try to make the most of it. But if you're in an environment where people are at each other's throats, it makes it absolutely miserable to do the thing that you love. That's not the way we want to be. And so we want to try to not to participate in the antagonism, not to participate in the argument, but to listen and to care in the midst of. And that way people will know, because you respect and because you listen and because you honor, and sometimes you keep your mouth shut when the fighting gets really intense, but when that's going on, they find, here is a person that I can talk to. Here's a person that I can listen to. Here's a person that can help me to see myself. Here's a person who can help me to understand why this passion is there, what their particular concern is. And maybe we can find a way to solution. I don't think solutions really occur until we come to agreement. And so how quickly can we come to that agreement? Is that possible? Now, I think this must be a fundamental truth that Jesus teaches because it was echoed by his disciples. And we read about it not just once. It's not just in the Gospel of Matthew at the beginning as he's doing this, but it's actually repeated by the Apostle Paul when he's writing letters telling people how to be a Christian, what it means to be a follower of Jesus. There's a difference between being a Christian and being a disciple. A disciple is one who follows and tries to imitate and tries to live in the same way that Jesus taught to live. A Christian can be one who says, I believe. You can say, I believe this or I believe that, and you can call yourself a Christian. But to be a disciple is not to claim anything for yourself at all. It's just to live with this idea of loving everyone around you. It's about living with respect for God and living with respect for others and trying to be there as an offering to them. Does that make sense? This is what it means to love. To love is to give. And to give the best of ourselves, to give that to the people that we value. And if we value everyone, then there's always some way that you can find to express that love, to benefit the life of the other. Doesn't mean you have to agree with them. Doesn't mean that you have to take their side. It just means that you will care for them and they will feel that affection and that respect, and that will lift their spirits no matter what's happening in the argument. That's a really valuable tool, and this is what Jesus did. So anyway, the Apostle Paul, in the greatest of the letters that he's recognized to have written, is called the book of Romans. And he almost says exactly the same thing that Jesus taught the disciples. And so it's important that we hear that this is so important that it's been echoed again. It comes in Romans chapter 12, verses 9 through 18. Let love be genuine. Hate what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. Love one another with mutual affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse them. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. Do not repay anyone evil for evil. Think of and do what is noble in the sight of all. If it is possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. Now, this is the message that is missing in our world today. This is the message that people are forgetting. If you're only thinking about the people on your side, if you're only thinking about the argument and whether you're on this side or that side, if you're only thinking about the conflict, or if you're watching the news and allowing it to depress you, if you're hearing the stories and allowing it to make you upset, that's not the way that we're going to resolve this. The only way that we're going to make it through is when we start living the kind of lifestyle that Jesus is calling us to live, that Paul is trying to echo for us to live. When we respect each other more than the argument that we have over something that we can't do anything about in the first place, then maybe as a community we will care for each other a little bit better. Maybe the quality of life will improve in the workplace. People will learn to not do the blow-ups or the angry types of things if it doesn't go anywhere. If it's like talking into an empty space or into a vacuum, then they won't do that anymore. If you react to it, it's like giving them energy back. But if you let that pass and you still show respect for the person and listen without responding in kind, this starts to make a difference in the workplace. It makes a difference in all of our social environments, because we find that we are not about conflict. We're about getting along, and we want to get along as best we can. We want to get as many friends as we possibly can. We don't want to be in that environment where we're all alone because our peers are going. That's not where we want to be. We want to say that I can be friends with anyone. And there was a guy a long time ago, only a few might remember that even hearing this name, but his name was Will Rogers. And what he used to say is, there is nobody that's not a friend. They're just people I haven't met yet. I thought that was a beautiful quote. I thought that was a really neat idea. His idea is that we can get along with everyone. We have to find the way to do that. And if we're focusing on that, we're not focusing on the conflicts, we're not focusing on the emotion, we're not focusing on winning or losing. We're focusing on a relationship with people who are genuine and good, who are rich and full, who have great talent and great ability, great heart. And we can laugh together, and that's a lot more fun than crying against each other, don't you think? So I think the change that needs to happen in our society is not going to happen from those that are fighting at the top or in the press. I don't think that's where it's going to save us. I think what saves us is people living this kind of lifestyle the way Jesus taught it. The more people do that, the less of that antagonism and animosity I think you'll see. The less of that fierce criticism and violent kind of behavior. I think that'll all diminish, and then is when we'll be able to find solutions to our problems. We're not going to find them when people are at each other's throats. We're not going to find them when they're screaming at each other. We're going to find them when there's a still small voice in the midst of the conflict that helps them to look at something other than the fight that they're having. Helps them to look at what is it we're trying to be, where is it we're trying to go, what is the best way to get there, and how do we get there together? Those are the questions that we need to be asking, and people will find that in the way you're answering them in the workplace, in the home place, in the social clubs, in the restaurants, wherever you meet other people. The ones who are seeking life this way find peace almost everywhere, and people remember it, and they note it because they don't experience it enough. The more they do, the more they will. The more they will, the happier they'll be. And then we'll find our solutions. Then we'll find our ways to live together and ways to disagree without attacking each other or criticizing each other or calling each other names. We can change that. And I really think that most of the movements that change the world are those that change the people, not the ones that change the policies. When the people make that difference, the policies change and things get better. Anyway, that's what I think we need to be doing. I don't think we can be spectators of it. I don't think we can hope that it all happens for the good and be upset by the things that don't. I think what we have to do is say, in the environment that I'm in, what's the best way that I can live? Who's the best friend that I can be? How can I make the most of this life? And if I can be focused on that, I'm going to find more joy and peace than I am misery and argument. And that's the way I think we all should be. I think that's what God is love means. I think that's what Jesus is trying to encourage us to be. Love everyone. Everyone loves the ones that they like and the ones that are like them. But when you can love everyone, it changes things. It changes everyone. And they start to love everyone too. And that's when the joy of heaven starts to come. So, part of the way of getting there is listening to the passion and the love that we've heard, not only in the talent of the guitar or the harmonica or in the voice, but in the spirit of the singing and in the joy in the writing and the fact that they get to share that with us. Let's welcome, Emma and Robert. Let's welcome them back for another set of music. see if it does make a difference.
Yes, Greg, you could call me Bob. Emma, have you ever called me Robert?
Not a single time in my life.
No. Somewhere along the
Would you
line.
prefer that?
No. Well, I do believe your dad, who I grew up with, knew me as Bobby for a period of time.
I remember.
And
Mhm.
all the kids, like, there was a gazillion Goldies, and Keith was Keithy. Mark was Marky. Paul was Polly.
Yeah.
Ray was always just Ray.
He was
You
Ray,
can't really
yeah,
put it.
yeah.
But somewhere along the line, I went from Bob to Robert because people would ask me my name, and I just don't like the sound of Bob. It sounds like a wad of paper or something. Did you ever see that movie, The Equalizer?
Yeah.
Okay, Emma's heard me say this before. Forgive me for boring you, but in The
Never.
Equalizer, Denzel Washington's character is named Bob. And he's sitting in a diner, and somebody befriends him, and she says, "You're not Bob, you're Robert. Bob sits on the couch and eats potato chips. Robert reads books." So anyhow, we're going to play a song by a friend, Jack Erdy, who he's from, I guess, from Fairmont, West Virginia, or somewhere down there. And he's, if he was only good at one thing, you'd know his name already. But he wrote this song, and this song, he put it on an album. I think the album's called Pumpkin. And it's the last song, and he got all of his relatives and everybody to come and sing. This beautiful refrain, and that's all it is a refrain. And it needed something. So I was in a dusty old bookstore, and for 50 cents, I bought a hymnal from like the 1890s. And I found this song in it that fit his refrain, I think, fit his refrain perfectly. So this is a song called Rise. Rise from your slumber, days without number. Wait for you. Shake off your losses, so many causes to put your shoulder to. It's time to mend, time to turn the next bend. We depend on you to harmonize. So rise. Daughter of Zion, awake from thy sadness, awake for thy foe shall oppress thee no more. For bright o'er the hill dawns the day star of gladness. Arise, the night of thy sorrow is o'er. Arise, the night of thy sorrow is o'er. Rise from your slumber, days without number. Wait for you. Shake off your losses, so many causes to put your shoulder to. It's time to mend, time to turn the next bend. We depend on you to harmonize. So rise, the many thy foe, the arm that subdued them, scattered their legions, is mightier far. They fled like the chaff from the scourge that pursued them. For faint were their steeds, chariots of war. For vain were their steeds, and their chariots of war. Arise. Daughter of Zion, the power that saved thee, extolled with the harp, and the timbrel should be. Rejoice, for the foe is destroyed who enslaved thee. The oppressor is vanquished, Zion is free. The oppressor is vanquished, Zion is free. Arise, rise from your slumber, days without number. Wait for you, shake off your losses, so many causes to put your shoulder to. It's time to mend, time to turn the next bend. We depend on you to harmonize. So rise, 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 rise. From the same old hymnal. We're all that dwell below the skies. Let our Creator's praise arise. The blessings flow where'er He reigns. The captive leaps to loose his chains. Loose his chains. Loose his chains. True and strong, the lifted eye and bending knee. His promise sets the captive free. Captive free. Captive free. Eternal are thy mercies, Lord. Eternal truth attends thy word. Though mist and shadow all around, I'll set my feet on solid ground. Solid ground. Solid ground. thank you, Pastor Greg, for letting us do this. Thank you, Justin, for being like our favorite sound person ever.
The best in all of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and thank you, Emma. Thank you, Keith and Elaine, for having Emma.
They're probably watching. Hi, Mommy. Hi, Daddy.
Loving kindness, loving kindness, loving kindness all my days. Loving kindness, loving kindness, loving kindness all my days. Lord, I'll sing your praise. Of a poem that survives, spoken by the murdered king of history's hated tribe. I believe in the impossible, in things I cannot prove, that oceans can be parted and the hearts of haters move. Loving kindness, loving kindness, loving kindness all my days. Lord, I sing your praise. Well, I don't speak for anyone, I barely speak for me. I believe in the impossible, in things that cannot be. I'm smart enough and strong enough and wise enough to know I don't deserve the harvest of a field I didn't sow. Walk with me, don't say a word. How don't you feel amazed? How don't you want to thank someone? How can you not give praise? I wander through the darkness, grace for the life I don't deserve. Show me who to thank and teach me how to serve. Loving kindness, loving kindness, loving kindness, loving kindness all my days. Loving kindness, loving kindness, loving kindness, loving kindness all my days. Lord, I sing your praise. Lord, I sing your praise. Lord, I sing your praise. We're going to do a song about the light, but, you know, light and dark contrast. So I'm going to tell you like a really dark story. On the street, down the hill from the Flynns, okay, there was this kid named Brian. I'm not going to mention his last name to not incriminate his cohorts, but Brian, I always thought Brian came to all of our gigs, and you know, we've been doing the Little Wretches thing for 40 years, since before you were born, and Brian would always come to these shows, and he's always like falling asleep, and I just assumed Brian works really hard, but he was actually a hard drug user, and you know, what do I know about drugs? I'm the straightest person you've ever met in your life. I've never even taken a puff of a cigarette. But way down the road, poor Brian, he'd been disowned by his wife and his kids. He like maxed out like 7 different credit cards on gambling debts, and he lost his job. He had a good job working for the post office, and he was living in the Flynn basement. And he decided he just didn't want to live anymore. And this is the worst. Please forgive me, but this is the truth. His tolerance for drugs was so high that he shot up 7 bags of heroin and didn't die. But he tried again the next week and succeeded. And so there's a line in the song, "My friend lives in a deserted mine. He wears brokenness like a cloak." Are you going to be able to sing this? I hope I didn't. Look what I
It's
did.
been an emotional week. Don't worry. I got this.
But anyhow, the last time, funny thing is, before Brian did the deed, I was living out in Philadelphia. I get a phone call, and it's Brian. And he called everybody. He didn't announce his plans, but he called everybody to thank them for being his friend. Oh, look what I did.
Yeah.
Best I can do is clear a path for light. Some days the best I can do is clear a path for light. The best I can do, I'll pin below this jagged ice and blackened snow is call upon what good I know and clear a path for light. Some days the best I can do is clear a path for light. Some days the best I can do is clear a path for light. You call for help, but help won't hear. They wouldn't, would they leave me here? Ignore the doubt, deny the fear, and clear a path for light. My friend lives in a deserted mine. He wears brokenness like a cloak. My friend lives in a deserted mine. He wears brokenness like a cloak. My friend lives in a deserted mine. Tonight we walk to the quiet shrine. Moon settles on to my upturned palm. With a brilliant dusting of snow, a brilliant dusting of snow.
is a song called Palms and Crosses. Imagine how quickly things can change. It was a turnaround world where things were all too quickly turned around. One week you're a king, and the next week, I don't even want to think about it. One week palms, joy and praise, hearts are lifted, voices raised. The next week nails and crowns of thorns, the mother of God herself will mourn. A handful of stragglers waits at the scene, asking themselves what it is that they've seen. Best go home, assess our losses. 1 week palms, next week crosses. 1 week palms, next week crosses. Most of life goes on unseen. All I can say is tomorrow will decide what yesterday means. A single mom with 3 small kids, a picnic lunch under the bridge. You cast your line, catch a few fish, eat spaghetti off a styrofoam dish. Throw your ball, ride your bike, there you go, just play nice. Look, ma, look, you got a bite. He stole your bait, story of my life. 1 week palms, next week crosses. Mostly life goes on unseen. All I can say is tomorrow will decide what yesterday means. A mother with the children on the 4th of July, waving sparklers on a cordoned off street. I told you keep your shoes on, don't blame me when you wind up with glass in your feet. Birthday parties, wedding gifts, gotta run to the store, can you give me a lift? Ooh, this looks cool, what's it do? It catches dreams, oh that isn't true. Well, how do you know? You gotta believe. Alright, ask ye shall receive. Bring me back the friends I lost. Yeah, that's right, just like I thought. 1 week palms, next week crosses. Most of life goes on unseen. All I can say is tomorrow will decide what yesterday means. All I can say is tomorrow will decide what yesterday means. All I can say is tomorrow will decide what yesterday means.
Tomorrow, tomorrow,
Let's have another big hand for Robert and Emma. I don't know what it is over the last couple of weeks. I've had such trouble with Robert's name. I don't know why. It's weird. Hey, you know, there's a way of living in the midst of all of this without having to get sucked into it. And one of these is to think first, here I am. I am a gift in the midst of this. How can I be a positive or peaceful presence in the midst of what's going on? Sometimes it's listening without reacting. Sometimes it's asking a question to cause a different perspective. Sometimes it's just giving an embrace or being still. When we're a person who cares about everybody, we'll try to think ahead, or we'll think in the midst, and our minds will be active. How can we make this the best it can possibly be? And when that's your focus, you'll find the answer, and others will feel it in you. So I hope you have a great week. I hope you find a way to enjoy the week that is coming and all the things that are going on, and find a way to be that peaceful presence with whoever you happen to be with at the time. You'll find peace come into your heart, because it's not about the sides, it's not about the issues, it's about the people and how do we get along. When we focus that way, it's bound to make peace. God bless you. See you next Tuesday right here at the Steamworks Spirit Station.